Why Lucas Giolito's resurgence is one of the best things to happen to the 2025 Boston Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I'm here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox Monday through Friday straight to your favorite podcast feed. And want to know the best part? It's all completely free. So make sure you tune in because Locked On is your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Happy Monday. Welcome to the show where the Red Sox are coming off of a sweep against the Washington Nationals over the weekend. And this was a much needed sweep because this was a team that the Red Sox were supposed to beat up on, and they in fact did beat up on this team. Going to be talking all about that series on today's show, including the resurgence of Lucas Giolito and the dominance he's shown as of late, as well as the Red Sox preparing for the return of Masataka Yoshida and the Red Sox All-Stars. Who's exactly going to that game from this team? So the Red Sox had a very good series against the Nationals. On Friday, on the 4th of July, they absolutely smoked the Nationals by a score of 11-2. Trevor Story went 4 for 5 in that game with 4 RBIs and a home run. He was certainly the standout on offense, and Jarren Duran also drove in 3 runs in the game as well. But the biggest standout was Lucas Giolito, who has been pitching really well as of late. He threw 7 2/3 innings, giving up 4 hits and 1 earned run with 3 walks and 7 strikeouts. He threw 108 pitches with 75 of them going for strikes. And the biggest thing here is that Lucas Giolito was struggling early on in the season for the Red Sox, but as of late, he has been putting up really competitive numbers. Actually, after he threw on Friday, he had said that he didn't think his interview was going to be great because he was just so fatigued after the outing, because he really went out there and gave it his all. He continued a dominant stretch with his longest outing since 2021, allowing just a single run on 4 hits while striking out 7 Nationals and pitching into the 8th inning. He actually had a 6.42 ERA exactly 1 month ago after a blow-up outing against the Angels. He has held opponents to 3 earned runs in 32 2/3 innings over his last 5 starts, which is good for a .83 ERA in that span. He's now 5-1 on the season with a 3.66 ERA this year. So the turnaround over the last month has been dominant. He is looking like an ace out there based on how he's been throwing as of late. He said, I just like the recipe we have right now. Throwing to Narvi, which is Carlos Narvaez, has been fantastic. Game planning is really good, just staying with that and trusting it. Friday actually did mark a full circle moment for Giolito, who nearly a decade ago debuted at Nationals Park as a highly regarded Nationals prospect. As a 21-year-old in 2016, the former first rounder appeared in 6 games, with 4 of those being starts for the Nats before being shipped off to the White Sox in an offseason trade that sent Adam Eaton to the Nats. It took 185 major league starts and 1,051 innings for Giolito to return to the Washington Navy Yard on Friday as he made his first start at the ballpark since his debut season. So there's definitely some meaning there for him, and it made the outing that he had on Friday really special because of that. He said it has been a long road. There wasn't much sentimental value to the return because his ex-teammates are no longer with Washington, so it's a little bit different. He said, I pitched very different back then, very long arm action. Every baseball player's career, you have your ups and downs, your trials and tribulations, highs and lows, however you want to put it. It has been a long road. I look forward to many more, even the downs. When you come back from those, it's probably more satisfying than being good all the time. So the biggest thing that I've mentioned about Giolito on this show before is that he has that dog in him, that will to say, hey, I'm not going to give up even after the bad outings. And the bad outings are only going to make me stronger. And I spoke with him in Worcester when he was rehabbing with the Woo Sox during his injury prior to coming back up to the Red Sox. And he showed that same mentality. He said, look, the circumstances aren't great right now. I'm hurt, but I'm going to go out there and do everything I can to contribute every day. And once I do get back up, I hope to give the Red Sox everything they need and more from me. And this is really noteworthy because Lucas Giolito resurging in the way that he is an absolute game changer for a Red Sox rotation that's kind of been hanging on by a thread this season. You have a lot of guys in the rotation who have failed to give the Red Sox length this season, and Giolito included. He's been part of that group that hasn't been able to provide the length that's really needed out of a Red Sox reliever. But as of late, throwing 108 pitches and pitching into the 8th inning is ace caliber stuff. And I'm definitely not saying he's better than Garrett Crochet. Garrett Crochet is still the ace of the Red Sox rotation. But when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, if we get this version of Lucas Giolito for the rest of the season, that's a really solid number 2 starter. And if you think about the Red Sox rotation going into the season, and you think about the fact that they had acquired Walker Buehler and Garrett Crochet, they still had Tanner Houck, Brian Bayo, and then Cutter Crawford, and then they also had Lucas Giolito coming back. If you think about those names, you wouldn't necessarily think about Giolito as being the number 2. So that's been one of the biggest surprises, I would say, for this Red Sox team this season, is how well Giolito has been pitching over the last month. Now, the question is going to be, is he going to be able to sustain that? Because we've seen a lot of inconsistency from him on the mound. He'll have a really strong start, and then the next outing for him, the wheels will kind of fall off the bus, and he'll struggle a little bit. And not knowing early on in the season which version of him we were going to get in that regard was a little bit scary. But now we're getting more consistently the guy who's throwing deep into the game and is having dominant starts. And he and Carlos Narvaez have established a really strong partnership as the battery, and that seems to be working out really well in his favor. So hopefully the Red Sox continue to have Narvaez catch for him, because that does make a big difference for a pitcher, is if they have a catcher throwing to them that they're comfortable with. So now that he and Narvaez have had that experience with each other, it's helping Giolito directly to be a lot more successful. So ultimately, at the end of the day, Lucas Giolito has been vastly improved over the course of the season in his time pitching in a Red Sox uniform. And ultimately, when it comes to him, he could be a solid number 2 starter. And if the Red Sox are trying to make a playoff push, which definitely don't count them out yet, especially because they're coming off of this sweep against the Nationals, you are going to need that solid number 2 behind Garrett Crochet. It's incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to win in the postseason if you don't have the strong pitching. You could have the best bats in the world, but it's not going to matter if your pitching can't get the job done. And when we look at the Red Sox rotation, it's looking significantly better now than it did earlier on. If Lucas Giolito is going to be able to be as reliable as he has been, he's gotten his fastball velocity up, and he's really gained a lot more confidence in throwing his off-speed pitches, as opposed to just relying on 2 pitches consistently. Now he's been able to throw a 3rd pitch and a 4th pitch and work those into his arsenal regularly. And that's been the difference maker here, because early on in the season, he was really limiting himself to a 2-pitch arsenal. Now he has more of a 3 to 4 pitch arsenal. That's really allowed him to fool opposing hitters, and it's allowed him to be super successful for the Red Sox rotation. So we need this version of Giolito moving forward, and this Red Sox rotation looks a lot more competitive. Somebody who could help make the Red Sox lineup more competitive is Masataka Yoshida. What will his return look like for the Red Sox roster? It can be really scary to manage money sometime, and if you have ever wanted it to be easier, Monarch Money is 100% the home for you. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't only a budgeting app, it's actually a complete financial command center, and it really allowed me to opened my eyes to what I was spending that I didn't need to spend money on. For example, I was subscribed to so many random services that I didn't need to be subscribed to. And if it weren't for Monarch Money, my card would have just continued to get charged for those services. But now I shut them down and it saves me so much money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. I am telling you, this is a great way to manage your money and make sure you know, hey, I'm not spending money on useless things that I don't need to spend money on. So it's time for me to go out there and spend money on what needs to be spent, not wasting money on random things. So that's where Monarch Money comes in, and it can 100% be a lifesaver for you and everybody else out there who may be struggling to manage their money. So the Red Sox swept the Washington Nationals over the weekend. And I could not be happier about that because that was very much needed for a Red Sox team that continued to stay under 500, couldn't really get a winning streak going, and now hopefully developed enough confidence and momentum to go into this next upcoming series against the Rockies, another one that is 100% winnable, and they can mop the floor with those guys and then end this week on a high note going into the All-Star break, because then they have the Rays over the weekend, which is a tough opponent. But if they could go into the All-Star break feeling really confident, that could help them going into the rest of the season after that, because there still feels like a lot of time left in the baseball season, but it's going to go by so fast. It's not as much as you think. And where the Red Sox stand right now, they could still be a contender. So it definitely will help them to have some of that momentum coming back from the All-Star break. And speaking of coming back after the All-Star break, Masataka Yoshida is somebody who the Red Sox were targeting to return after the All-Star break. But now the idea is that they are planning to activate him at some point during this homestand this week. They feel like his rehab has gone well in AAA. I actually spoke with him last week after his first rehab assignment, the first rehab game that he had played in for the Woo Sox. And he talked about how, he's just really excited to get back out there and contribute to the Red Sox as much as he can. And he's somebody who hopefully is going to be able to do that sooner rather than later. So the question now becomes, what happens with the Red Sox roster when Yoshida comes back? Because the Red Sox still have a crowded outfield situation in Jarren Duran, Ceddanne Rafaela, and now Roman Anthony, and also Willie Abreu, and they've been kind of alternating these guys. They have somebody play DH every day, and then the other three play in the outfield, and then it kind of switches, and that's been able to work for them. But now when they have Yoshida coming back, who was the Red Sox full-time DH last season, if they want to stick him back into that role, somebody's likely going to have to sit. And Alex Cora acknowledged that too. Yoshida has long targeted a return to the Red Sox lineup before the All-Star break, and for a while the Red Sox weren't sure if it was going to happen, but now it does appear to be a reality. So basically, as long as he's still feeling good, he will likely join the Red Sox for this series against the Rockies. And Alex Cora's plan for him is that they'll talk to him after the Monday off day, after he completes his rehab this weekend, and then Alex Cora and company will figure out what it makes sense to do and where to play him. The Red Sox do not have the day off today, but AA Portland does. So that's why Alex Cora had said have Monday off, and then they'll figure things out and talk to him. It might be decision time when it comes to activating him, and he'll be active during the homestand at some point. When, they haven't specifically specified, but that's what Alex Cora said. Cora did leave the door open for Yoshida, who hasn't played yet this season due to a slow recovery from offseason labrum surgery, to return to the roster between Tuesday against Colorado and Sunday, the first half finale against Tampa Bay. It's still possible that Yoshida will need more time in the minors. It's just going to be a game time decision. Essentially, it'll be, hey, how's he feeling tomorrow? And if he's feeling really good tomorrow, then they might activate him. If he says, I still need some more time, they might have him play another rehab game. It really just depends. So when he does return, what is going to happen? Because he will, like I said, join a crowded outfield / DH hitter mix in Boston. Alex Cora envisions Yoshida and Rob Refsnyder platooning at the DH position, while also continuing to mix both players into the outfield alongside Wilyer Abreu, Roman Anthony, Jarren Duran, and Cedar Rafaela, the guys who I had mentioned earlier. Yoshida won't start at first base, but could emerge as an emergency option there. Left field is the only position he has played in the big leagues other than DH. And I actually asked Yoshida about this last week too, and kind of the plan for where he plays. He said there hasn't been much discussion about him actually playing first base in a game. The Red Sox just wanted him to take reps there. And it's a front office decision, essentially, where he plays, basically saying he's a player. So he doesn't make that kind of call. But it sounds like he's open to playing wherever the Red Sox need him to. And the biggest thing with that is who goes where in that case. So Alex Cora said Masa's going to hit. He's going to hit and he's going to play wherever we need him to play, whether it's the outfield or DH. The first base thing, like I said, it's not like we're going to start him there. But let's say he's playing the outfield and we're aggressive with pinch hitters. And in the 9th or 10th inning, he can stand there and make plays and we'll use him. He'll play. So they're not super serious about putting Masa at first base. But if it's a situation where it's needed and it makes sense to insert him at first, they will play him there. But the plan is not to have him be a primary first baseman. In the 3 weeks since the Red Sox traded Rafael Devers to the Giants, Cora has rotated the DH spot. He has started an outfielder as Boston's DH in each of the last 14 games, with Roman Anthony doing it 7 times and Rob Refsnyder, who was the DH on Saturday, getting 6 appearances in that spot. So obviously, he's trying to play around and see who feels comfortable in that role. But now, the Red Sox, with the defensive upside of Abreu in right field and Rafaela in center, make it hard for them to envision unplugging either of those guys from the field. Anthony, Duran, Refsnyder, and Yoshida will all likely get DH at bat. So I don't think they're really changing it drastically in terms of taking the DH spot away from these other guys and just making Yoshida the full-time DH again. I think they still want to mix those guys into the DH role too. Cora also acknowledged that on most days, the Red Sox might find themselves with 6 outfielders for 4 lineup spots. Refsnyder won't play much against right-handed starters, but there will be difficult decisions to make with the other 5 guys. Alex Cora straight up said somebody's going to sit. That's where we're at roster-wise. It's not a problem. It's a luxury, to be honest with you. That's the reality of it. We've got a lot of good players. Some guys are not going to play certain days. There are certain lefties that aren't going to play against righties one day. That's the way it's going to be because we have lots of good players. So he's not necessarily saying somebody's going to get the boot as in, oh, we don't have room for this person on the roster anymore, so they're no longer going to play. He's more saying that when Yoshida comes back and he's in the mix, guys are going to rotate, and every day there's going to have to be somebody who's on the bench. It just is what it is. And he plans to continue to alternate that scenario. So, for example, say Yoshida gets activated and they want him to play DH in a game. And in the outfield, they have Jarren Duran, Cedar Rafaela, and Roman Anthony. And Wilyer Abreu is sitting. Then in the next game, maybe Yoshida goes to the bench and then they bring in Abreu to DH or Roman Anthony DHs and Wilyer Abreu goes into the field. And then maybe Roman Anthony's off the next day. You know what I mean? So it just ends up being a cycle to where somebody's going to end up sitting each day. But Alex Cora was really speaking to the depth of the Red Sox roster at that position in the outfield by saying, hey, we have options and that's not a bad thing. And while somebody's sitting feels bad, it's going to be a different player each time. And Rob Refsnyder, they really do like when there's a lefty on the mound because he just hits lefties really well. So I'm sure they'll utilize him a lot still in those types of situations. But generally speaking, the Red Sox are not utilizing him as a primary outfielder. So that's one person to take a little bit more out of the equation. Still obviously a factor, but Yoshida, basically from the sounds of it, will spend a lot of his time DHing, but they also do want to get him into the field sometimes. So I think we'll see this big rotation of outfielders DHing, sitting, and playing in the field. We'll have to see, but the All-Star game is right around the corner. Who exactly is headed to that game for the Red Sox? That's coming up next. Just a reminder, though, that you can subscribe to Locked On Red Sox on YouTube or any other podcast platform Monday through Friday, as I am here to discuss the latest going on with the team. And while you make Locked On Red Sox your first listen today, next be sure to check out Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Locked On MLB Game Night is a great show because it goes over everything that took place during that day, so you don't have to just check scores constantly. Our Locked On experts will keep you in the loop. Make sure you check that out on any podcast platform. So while the Red Sox look to head to the second half of the season, which they technically are already in record speaking and schedule speaking, but MLB considers the second half of the season after the All-Star break, so their second half schedule will now be referred moving forward as anything after the All-Star break. The Red Sox have a few players that are being sent to that game, and it's really exciting because these are all players that were big acquisitions for the Red Sox in the offseason, and all three have truly made their mark so far in their first season in a Red Sox uniform. So the first one is Garrett Crochet. Obviously, it goes without saying that Garrett Crochet has been phenomenal for this Red Sox team. He is the Red Sox ace, and he consistently has given us what we need. He got 348 votes and ranked second in player balloting among American League starters, trailing only Detroit's Tariq Skubal. So he came close to being in first in that regard. And Crochet just has been everything you need from an ace. He was acquired in a December blockbuster trade that sent 4 prospects to the White Sox, is an all-star for the second straight year after being selected for the first time a year ago. And he just provides that value. He limits the runs that he's giving up to the opposing team, and he goes out there and he just shoves. And that's exactly what the Red Sox need from their ace. It's so well-deserved that he's going to the All-Star game. Closer Aroldis Chapman is another one who is being sent from the Red Sox, and he received 245 votes, which led American League relievers. Chapman is having quite a season this year. He has been very good. So the thing with Chapman that I really like is that he's a real closer, and he's somebody the Red Sox can actually rely on in that 9th inning to get it done, because one flaw with the Red Sox roster over the last few seasons is that there wasn't always a time where they had a definitive closer. They had Kenley Jansen over the last 2 years, but he was always a little shaky. Prior to him, they really didn't have a closer. And now they have Chapman, and Chapman goes out there and just gets the job done. And every once in a while, he gives up his walks, and it's stressful. But overall, you can trust Chapman when he's out there in that 9th inning. And that's really what makes it such a well-deserved thing for him at that point to have made the All-Star game. The biggest thing with Aroldis Chapman is that he can still throw 103 miles an hour at his age and how long he's been doing this. It's amazing. The 37-year-old Chapman is back in the Midsummer Classic for the first time since 2021 and the 8th time ever after signing a 1-year, $10.75 million deal with the Red Sox in early December. So his renaissance has been marked by a 1.25 ERA and 15 saves in 39 games, while Crochet, who entered Sunday leading baseball in strikeouts with 144 and ranking second in innings with 115.1. He's anchored the rotation all year. So both of these pitchers are so well-deserving of it. Chapman, you just know, is going to be lights out the majority of the time as your closer. Then Alex Bregman was the third one who was named to the All-Star game. He received 193 votes and finished second just behind Cleveland's Jose Ramirez, who won the fan vote and will start. But Bregman has had an unbelievable season before he got injured as well. And the biggest difference that Alex Bregman makes isn't even on the field. It's more off the field and the mentorship that he's provided to a lot of the young players on this Red Sox team. And it really serves as a reminder of how important Alex Bregman is to this Red Sox team and him being here. These young guys really need a role model like that. And Bregman, after signing a big free agent deal, 3 years, $120 million with opt-outs after 2025 and 2026, at the outset of spring training, will be an all-star for the first time since 2019 and the third time ever. Despite not playing since May 23rd due to a quad strain, he got off to a torrid start in his first year outside of Houston, hitting .299 with 11 home runs, 17 doubles, 35 RBIs, and a .938 OPS in 51 games before the injury. So he deserves it as well, because prior to getting injured, he was the Red Sox best hitter. He was that bat in the lineup that you really felt could get it done. And that was what I really like about Bregman, was knowing that his loss was going to really hurt because of how much of a difference he makes. And those are the guys that should be all-stars, the guys who are difference makers for their team. And that is 100% Bregman, no doubt about it. The difference he makes on and off the field is so crucial for this Red Sox team. And Craig Breslow was talking about it, and Alex Cora was talking about it. Alex Cora said for your peers to select you, that means a lot. Chappie, Garrett, and Alex. Alex in a short period of time, and they have impacted this organization on the field and off the field. They're really good at what they do. You've got to give credit to Brez, which is Craig Breslow, who acquired all three of them. So 3 Breslow acquisitions going to the All-Star game. The Red Sox have largely hovered around 500 all season and are just 1 game above the mark at 46-45 after sweeping the Nationals over the weekend. But as Sunday demonstrated, there's little doubt that 3 of Breslow's key offseason acquisitions have worked out very well for this team. Nobody can deny that. Breslow said, I think you hope when you make acquisitions in the offseason that guys play up to their potential or beyond their potential. These are 3 guys, all of whom were all-stars in the past. They're new to the organization this year, but I think it's a really exciting moment for everybody here, which 100% it is. And Breslow went on also to say, I think the credit starts with the players, and they've shown that they're all-star caliber players before they got here. But a lot of credit goes to the coaching staff, to everyone that's involved in the acquisition process and identifying these guys. One thing that we can all be proud of is the fact that Garrett was an all-star last year, but for Alex and for Aroldis, it's been a few years. Any role that the organization had in helping them regain that all-star form is something we should be proud of. One thing to note here is that the Red Sox 3 all-star selections match last year's total when Rafael Devers, Jarren Duran, and Tanner Houck all made it. The last time a first-year Red Sox player was named an all-star was just 2 years ago when Kenley Jansen represented the AL after signing a 2-year free agent deal the winter prior. I mentioned him because he was the Red Sox closer last couple seasons before Chapman, but he struggled a lot. Chapman has been a lot cleaner out there. Perhaps the most notable snub, though, from the Red Sox could have been Carlos Narvaez, who entered Sunday ranking 2nd among MLB rookies in F4 with 2.6 and 3rd among American League catchers in the category behind Seattle's Cal Raleigh and Toronto's Alejandro Kirk. Narvaez, who was actually acquired on the same day as Crochet in a minor trade with the Yankees, has also been a bright spot after coming over this winter. So outside of scuffling starter Walker Buehler, virtually all of Breslow's winter additions, including Bregman, Chapman, Crochet, Narvaez, and reliever Justin Wilson, have thrived in their first years in Boston. So Breslow went on to say, we try to do as much work as possible in talking to teammates and looking at the performance and seeing how players play in the brightest moments in the markets that they're coming from. You try to put all the pieces together, but it's really hard to know if somebody can thrive in Boston until they get to Boston and they put the Red Sox uniform on. You can kind of look at them as the leaders in their group on the team, right? Alex as the leader of the position player group, Garrett as leader of the rotation, and then Aroldis in the bullpen. Often your all-stars are leaders, but it doesn't have to be the case. In this way, you can see the leadership qualities and the impact that each of those three guys has had on the rest of the group. It's no doubt that their leadership has helped them get very far for this Red Sox team. And these guys look up to them. I mean, the young players look up to all three of these guys in some capacity, and they're all making a difference to this Red Sox team. So very well deserved. I'm so excited to watch the All-Star break this season, the home run derby and the game itself. It should all be so fun, and I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you are too. But great sweep for the Red Sox. Won 11-2 on Friday, 10-3 on Saturday, and 6-4 on Sunday. But they got it done and did what they need to do, which was sweep the Washington Nationals. Let's hope they can take advantage again against the Rockies this week. Like I always say, though, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.